Hi, everybody. Here comes Maddie. Hi, Maddie. Say hi. Hi to the people. Listen, I am so happy to be live with you tonight. As you guys know, I'm Dan Franklin, and I have not been live. I think I went live the other day, but I haven't been live like I was going live in a while. And I want to jump on and kind of give you guys an update about what I'm up to, what I'm doing, and basically just kind of like check in with you, with my community, with myself, with my followers. Um, it's my goal to get back into the conversations that I'm passionate about, that I really do feel are, my calling. Um, and I want to say this, so often when we decide to utilize, like what I'm doing, utilize social media to share a message, to create community, because there's such a saturation of creators, people really will diminish, when you're starting or if you've done it, right? And they'll definitely do it if they don't see what they consider quantifiable results that say you're successful. And they will say something that might be like, flip it like, oh, well, everyone does it. And nobody wants to work and all these different things. And I think what you always have to remind yourself is everything that we do, everything that I do was made up. There are no rules. It was made up, and we then comply with these imaginary rules or standards. Um, you know, when, like, an example of that is, I live in the state of Florida, and like when you get up into what we consider the panhandle, it stops. There's like a line, imaginary line, and then there may be signs and things like that, or mile markers that say, okay, now you're in Georgia, right? But when you look at a map, it'll show like the line going through Florida and the rest of the states. Well, in reality, the line doesn't exist. It's just there, on paper, or documents, or even some digital things. Okay, Maddie, are you okay? So a lot of the structures, the things that we consider to be like the way the world is, they're made up. They're all made up. And so even the concept of work is made up. The concept of work is made up. Hi, thank you so much for your views and for liking. So when you decide to do something that is new, radical, don't be surprised if people that are conditioned to one way of thinking say, well, why do you want to be a creator? Or why do you want to do that? You should get a real job. It's because they believe that what they consider a real job is the only way you can make money. There are tons of ways for you to make money that are not what conventional people think how you make money. And so you have to uncover that limiting belief, because if you take on their belief, you're limited to see what's possible in terms of you creating and authoring your own version of what work looks like for you. And creating for your life and living in purpose. And that's the main thing. The thing that I have come to terms with was like, I really want to do things that feed my soul. And yeah, I know we all have to work, we all have to do whatever to make money. And there's Maddie with her squeaky toy. Um and you can be creative in creating that authentically. Now you have to do the work, you have to be realistic, you have to have a plan, you have to execute. But don't allow someone that is stuck in one way of thinking limit you from transforming, from reimagining what's possible for you. Because a lot of times you have that vision so you can execute it. They don't have the vision. And you'll be surprised a lot of times once you do something, a lot of people that told you you couldn't do it or didn't see how it's possible will either start doing it or say, oh, I want to do that too, because now they see it's possible. So don't allow anyone that speaks over what you feel you need to do make you feel like you can't do it. Do it anyway. Do it in spite of the fear, the concern, for what may or may not happen. So I just wanted to share that. And I'm sharing that because years ago I started um, coaching and doing things. And the reason I did it was because I wasn't welcome in the church. I am 42 years old. And one of the things I'm very proud of is I've always operated with a level of integrity that is never the standard at the time. It's never. I'm always, and I don't mean to say this in a way like arrogant, but I've always been ahead of my time in the way I think. So I'm always challenged with how people interact with that authenticity versus what their expectations are. And knowing then that, oh no, I'm doing the right thing and trusting myself to do or say what I feel I need to say in that time. And so, no matter how old I've gotten, I still encounter that same experience of like, oh, I feel like I should do this or I feel like I should say this, but it would probably ruffle some feathers. And I'll give you an example. So, when I was a young man and I came to terms with that I was gay, I was a pastor, and the reason I was a minister, sorry. And the reason I became a minister was because I was so trying to not be gay. I was like doing everything at church. And so naturally they were like, "Wow, you take leadership." And so the leaders at my church start to really invest in me, mentor me and kind of take me on like an apprenticeship phase of like teaching me the ins and out, giving me responsibilities and seeing how I did. And I always did really well because everything I do to the best of my ability. But at the same time, I knew that I was dealing with homosexuality. I knew, like, I was like, I would pray, I would abstain from anything. And I still was like, oh my God, I really felt like I was gay. And so I start to ask God, my own relationship, with God, like, God, if I'm gay, did you make me this way or do you want me not to be gay? Because if you don't want me to be gay, I don't want to be gay. I want to be whatever you want me to be. And in that process, I remember I prayed and I fasted. And I came to terms with I was gay and God loved me and that he made me this way and that I didn't need to be validated by any church. And this was probably in 2004 and it was a very different world back then. This was like during the Prop 8, they were trying to like put laws in place to stop gay marriage. So it was a very heated time about, anything gay and gay marriage. And when my pastor asked me, was I gay? My integrity said, tell him the truth or whatever. I said, tell him the truth. And I was like, no, if I tell him the truth, I'm going to get exiled. I'm going to be, you know, kicked out the church or they're not going to talk to me or they're going to say I'm going to go to hell, whatever. I was so scared. And when you are so used to a community, so used to like being accepted by your tribe, the last thing you want to do is be exiled from it. Because it's like your identity. It's like, well, who am I if I'm not a Christian? Who am I if I'm not my parents' child? Who am I if I'm not the minister or leader within this organization? Because I've made my life about that. And so I had to really confront my identity. And I was like, am I more than this? Am I more than this church, than this religion, this community? Or does this define me? Am I allowed to discover my own relationship with Christ? Or do I have to do what everyone taught me? And of course, I had to learn the word for myself and all of the things, right? And I was really at peace with the fact that God loves me. He made me the way I am, and He didn't make any mistakes on me. Does that mean I'm gonna go out and just do all kind of crazy things? No. But and that's what I was afraid of. I was like, oh my God, like what am I gonna do now? Am I gonna be walking around with a gay flag and like a Speedo? No, that never happened. That still hasn't happened. But I got to author my own life. I got the opportunity to create my own life, to create my own identity, independent of my parents, independent of my where I grew up, independent of my religion that I was born into. Like it was like, hey, here, you're going to be Christian. And if you're not a Christian, you're going to hell. That's what it's like to grow up with, when you're in religion. It's like, hey, you either do this or you go to hell. And everyone's telling you to do it. So you do what everyone's doing. And you don't want to go against the grain, right? So once I was settled and I was a little older, I realized I loved making a difference for people. I loved making a difference for people. Hello, thank you guys so much for coming in. Sorry, telling my story. I love making a difference for people. I loved being able to change people's lives or have an impact on their life in a positive way. And I was trying to figure out how can I do that and not be associated with any type of religious organization because of all of that, what that meant, right? And luckily at the time, there was a lot of conversations about a life coach. And at the time, I was an HR professional. I'd been for at least 3 or 4 years at that point, and I had mentor coach, develop a lot of teams and people. And so I decided, I said, you know what? I'm going to make a difference in this area. I'm going to coach people. And my first clients were people that I knew, like I worked with. And so some of the things I would help them do is obviously because I had an HR background, help them with transitioning into different positions. Sometimes my clients would move because they got a promotion, and I would help them get, in a good rhythm at their new role, get their family established in a new city. I mean, so many moving parts when you get a promotion, especially if you move. And I was able to make a difference for my clients that way. And I'll never forget, I was in a relationship at the time, and I tend to give a lot of value in what people think. And I let a friend of mine tell me at the time, because she knew what was going on with my relationship and it was falling apart. Um, and she said to me, your life is a mess. You can't coach anybody. And I said, you're right. I can't. And I stopped coaching people. And I look back years later and was like, and I did coach off and on because I would still get referrals and I would work with those people when I got referrals, but I never put myself out there as much anymore because I was so afraid. All right, I felt, what is it called? I'm sorry. I had like I felt like an imposter. Like if I can't have a perfect life, I can't make a difference for people. But the truth is that many are chosen, but few are called. If you feel, if you have a inner knowing, and sorry about Maddie squeaking, an inner knowing that you are meant to do something to make a difference, do it, do it, do it. Because there were so many years that in so many people's lives I didn't get to impact because I didn't take the actions and do what I felt I was led to do. I also continued to put a lot of value in what other people thought about me versus what I thought about me and what my higher power thinks about me. And recently I've had to let all that go so that I could show up to life in the way that honors me, that honors the calling that I know that I have. And so I said all that to say, you may be like me, right? And you are questioning whatever that is. It may be a business, it may be, I don't know what it may be. I just, I'm throwing some things out there. And you may be questioning whether or not you should do it. Listen to yourself. I love this saying, and I actually heard it through Whitney Houston, but she's not the one that made it. But she said, to thy own self be true. To thy own self be true. You can't be true to other people if you can't be honest with yourself. And if you have something in your life that you want to do or that you feel like you're meant to do, and the reason you're not doing it is because you're either worried about what people think, you've let people that have had different conversations about it give their opinion, don't allow their unbelief, their small vision of what's possible, hinder you from walking in your purpose. Because when you disobey that, let me tell you something. The Bible really says that sin is when you miss the mark, and the mark is specific to you. It's not about following these rules and go, oh, I did everything. But it's really about when something is for you to do, whether you do it or not, or when you are given something, a nudging to like do something or not do something, you honoring that. And you know what those things are. And so, sometimes in order to obey a calling, obey something that is like growing inside of you, you've got to like, disregard people, disregard your situation, disregard reality, and move forward. Everyone that's ever done anything remarkable, listen to me, had to ignore everything around them, ignore the noise, and go straight into the purpose that they believe that they were called to do. No one gets to escape that part of the process. Everybody has to walk through that process, and so do you. So I want to encourage you, whatever that thing is, do it. And I'm here to support you as well. I am offering my coaching to people that feel that I can make a difference for them. My commitment is to transform your life, to work with you to the point that you become unrecognizable, not only to yourself, but that when people see you, they go, what the hell happened to you? Something's different about you, not only in the way that you look and carry yourself, but your way of being and acting. Okay. And that's what's possible through working with a coach. Coaching can transform your life. Any area of life that you've been stuck in and that you've been unable to make a difference for yourself, a coach is able to get you to the next step. How do you think Michael Jordan became Michael Jordan? You think he did it on his own? He had a coach. How do you think, he's in the news right now? And I mean to be kind about this. How do you think, not Kobe Bryant, oh my God. The golfer, I can't think of his name right now. My brain's going blank. And this is live. This is just me talking. But they have a coach because the coach helps you see the areas that you can be effective in that you didn't see you could be effective in. We're able to look at your life and say, oh, why, right here, or help you discover it for yourself, more importantly. So anyway, I wanted to jump on here and share that with you guys. I'm going to be going live a lot more, talking about my life, talking about what I'm up to, and sharing how you can transform your life. And I know we hear that all the time, but it's really real. You can really transform your life. You can look back and go, whoa, I was here and now I'm here. And you don't have to be perfect to do it. Your life doesn't have to be perfect to do it. You don't have to have the perfect people around you. If you don't have people around you that can speak to the person that you want to be, find someone on social media. Back in the day when I was looking for mentorship and I couldn't find it, um, I read books. You don't have to know Napoleon Hill. You can read his books. You don't have to know Neville Goddard. You can read his books. You don't always have to pay for a coach. Let's say you can't afford a coach. You can follow a coach and you can get into the content, the conversations that they're having so that you can start doing the work on yourself to transform your life. So everything's not about money. Sometimes it's about putting yourself in the right spaces so you get the things that you need until you can pay. And then once you start making some money, I recommend that you hire a coach. Okay. So, anyway, I love you guys for watching. Make sure that you like, follow, and subscribe. I plan to be back tomorrow. I'll even make some announcements when I'm going to go live. So, for those of you who want to come at a specific time, you'll know that I'm here, and you can be a part of this conversation because what I'm creating is a community because literally transformation does not happen in a vacuum. It does happen by you being a community, you seeing people that are like-minded that want to transform their lives, and you're hungry too. All right. So I'll see you guys. Make sure that you go to you hit the subscribe button, you follow me. I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time. And also, once you follow, you'll see me on your feed because I'm going to be posting some really good videos that I've been recording. So I'm really excited for you guys to see the new content and the new conversation that I'm having around transforming your life. All right. I'm Dan Franklin. I love you. See you next time. Bye. And next time maybe I'll plan to read comments and answer questions. I kind of was just having a conversation here, but I'll also let you guys know when we'll do like a Q&A so you can come back and actually ask me questions and I can answer them in real time. All right, bye. I'm out.